I felt like you were really into it. In fact, I read that you went home and told your wife, Cynthia, that you wished it could go on forever. Did you really feel that way?
Yeah, it was such a terrific experience for me, and it's been such a long time since I've worked with such a dedicated group of people. I mean, I found dancers and that whole world to be a very exciting place. And the joy and the love that they brought every day to it was very infectious.
You and Richard Dreyfuss, obviously you're friends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, clearly you work together in Jaws. How did you wrench this role away from Richard?
Well, I didn't wrench it at all. He declined, as they say. He chose not to run.
But why you, Roy? I mean, you had never been a dancer before, right?
No, no. Some people suggested me to Bob, and Bob was familiar. When I say Bob, I mean Bob Fosse. Mm-hmm. He was familiar with my work, and he thought it would be worthwhile, at least, to interview me and see what he thought. And that's exactly what happened. I read the script for a few days, and I went up to see him. We talked for about an hour and a half, and he made up his mind.
You said that you didn't think it was as much fantasy as it was pure entertainment when you had read the script. Do you think that now, after it's all said and done?
Well, I think it's such a bizarre combination of both now. I mean, when I read the script, to me, it read much straighter. I mean, I didn't have the director's vision or the director's dream of what the final movie would look like. I mean, one of the reasons why I've probably seen this film more than any other film I've ever made is because I'm constantly amazed by what I see. I never expected so many of those things.
You and the character Gideon have a terrifically different perception of family, women, children. Well, you worked really hard and you succeeded in making me understand Gideon.
Good, good.
But how, since you're both so different?
Well, because Gideon is the worst aspects of myself. Theatricalized and enlarged. Not by worse, I mean the most compulsive and obsessive. All the workaholic that's in me. All the times when I become so interested and so involved in what I'm doing that I forget that I am a husband and I am a father and I do have another part of my life that's worth living. So what you saw in Joe Gideon is all that part of me that becomes too much.
You are a workaholic, then.
Of course.
You love the excesses.
Sure.
How about your daughters, though? There's a similarity there, because your daughter, Maximilia,
right,
and Fosse's daughter, Nicole,
yes,
both chose this profession.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah, it is.
Yes. I wonder how that happened.
Well, I don't know. You tell me. How did that happen? I mean, did you encourage her?
Well, no. I mean, I think it's a natural thing. I mean, Bob's daughter, the mother is Gwen Verdon. Mm-hmm. The father's a choreographer and a dancer, and the mother is a choreographer and a dancer. I'm an actor. My wife is a film editor and an ex-actress. So the atmosphere in the house, the conversation, the talk, the vitality and energy in the home is about show business. So I don't think it's natural that the kids pick it up. Now, whether either one of them will ever pursue it completely, we don't know. I mean, they have aspirations. I think Bob's daughter more than mine.
They certainly have great advice to fall back on, though. I mean, that has got to be a tremendous advantage.
Yes, they pick up a certain amount of savvy just by hanging around.
And that you had to send messages to your feet instead of your face, to your body instead of your heart. Was it different in that way?
Yeah, sure it was different. It's a whole different discipline, dancing. It's a whole different set of muscles. I mean, I'm in fairly good condition, but I never dreamed that I would ache like I ached while I made this film, because I don't use those muscles. And anyone familiar with Mr. Fosse's work knows that he's very pelvic, and he does a lot of things with legs, and that's a whole area that I've never even explored. And there were some days I was ready to be carried out in the stretcher.
Okay, the one thing, you and Fosse, it has been said, share the same theory about acting technique. And I got to ask you about this, because you say it's called the Yugoslav total immersion in absolute make-believe reality.
That's my line.
Is that a put-on, or is that real?
No, it's what I think you have to do in movies, as opposed to theater and some other forms, is that the camera is such a lie detector. It is so close, and it's into you so deeply that you really just have to be. You can't fake it. You either get it at that moment or you don't. And the audience feels it, because the camera doesn't lie, does it? It does not lie.
No, but it goes back to what you said about you and Gideon and the similarities, and maybe that's why I felt all those things. You're on stage now with Blythe Danner in The Trail. What's the difference in film and stage for you?
Well, the difference is technique. I mean, I'm in a theater that holds 1,100 people, and I have to get my performance to the top of the balcony. You don't have to do that in films. So in the theater, your whole manner and your voice and your performance is enlarged. It's theatricalized. So it carries, and you have to worry about articulation and projection and physical movement. Every movement means something in particular, and especially working in a play like Mr. Pinter's, who is a very gifted craftsman. And there are no wasted words or no wasted movements, and no room for a sloppy improvisation.
Oh, there isn't room for freedom?
Oh, no, there's room for freedom within emotion, within the lines, but not improvisation within the script. None.
You wanted to be a lawyer at one time in your life.
At one time.
And I wonder about the persuasiveness of law and acting. Is there a combination there? I mean, you would have been a tremendous lawyer. You are a tremendous actor. Is there, is there some similarity?
Well, all the best lawyers are the best actors, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, when you think of Belli and some of the more famous defense attorneys, they're all wonderful performers. They work a jury the way an actor works an audience.
Was there always that in you? That
Always.
maybe that kind of feeling, you had something to project, something maybe...
Well, there always was a little bit of the clown, a little bit of the show-off, a little bit of the wise guy, a little bit of the rebel, that sort of thing. I mean, I liked when I was making noise and people were looking at me.
How about your involvement with Hugh Carey now, and the idea that there have to be more films made in New York?
Well,
You're on the task force.
Yes, I mean, it's, for instance, we're trying to promote very much that complex out at Astoria, which has, I think, the 4th or 5th largest soundstage in the world. And if the rest of the complex were built up, as far as editing rooms and rehearsal rooms and sound rooms, I think it could just be, it could be Hollywood on the Hudson.
All that jazz was shot here in New York. Did you have anything to do with that?
No.
No?
The script called for it. But I was delighted that it was.
Were you ever frustrated when you were making this film because at the close of it they were not going to do the final scenes? Were you ever involved in any of that?
Oh yeah, there was a time when the first studio involved, who shall be nameless, felt that certain scenes were unnecessary. The business about the angel of life or death or whatever you want to call her. They never did feel that that was an absolutely necessary part of the film, and we did. Oh, it was so necessary. That was Jessica Lange. Yes. And that was the feeling of 8.5. That's what made this Fosse's 8.5. Yeah, I mean, it was the one character in the story that he could not lie to, who always had his number. At one point, they were going to stop the filming, and we had, I mean, Bob Fosse had saved those scenes for the end of the shooting because he felt he could make adjustments with them according to what he had shot in reality. This is the fantasy part of the film. So he saved them for last so he could integrate them more better. And then to find out that the studio decided they didn't want to use them, I mean, he went into shock. We all went into shock. Yeah. Sure. Sure you did. But it was resolved, and the budget problems were worked out, and we went on and we finished it. I'm glad they were.